All right. So let's begin our day with our lesson 3 of programming 2, which is summarizing data. This chapter comprises of two topics: creating and accumulating total variable and accumulating totals for a group of data. So what is summarizing data? Understand, it's not creating a summarized report. It's about summarizing data, and Prop 2 is all about data manipulation. We were focusing mostly on data where you can manipulate your data as per your business scenarios. And of course, it's more with your data step. Okay. So very first topic is creating and accumulating total variable. So with this topic, we'll understand it more in detail about how the scenario works to create an accumulating total. So for that objective, what we'll be learning is we'll explain how SAS initializes the value of a variable in PDB, will prevent reinitialization of a variable in PDB, sorry, and creating an accumulating variable. So look at the business scenario. It's telling you that you have a table of April sales. So it's a sale for every per day which has been noted into a table. So see, on 1st April 2011, this was the sale. On 2nd April, this is the sale. So like this, we have 30 rows for April month. And for all 30 days, you have its individual sale. So out of this detailed table, you have to create a summarized table where at the end, you should have the report which is creating an accumulating sale total at the end of at the end of the month of April, that is on 30th April, you have a total sale which is going to be a count of right from first day till the 30th day. So this is what we have to give the instructions to be done so that the result will come like this. So that on first day, your total sale will be the same as the sale. Whereas the second day, it will be the previous day plus the second day sale, which will be a total of this. Whereas on the third day, it should be the summary or a sum of your previous 2 days, including your current sale, which is total this. So this is the column which you are creating, which is called as accumulating total. All right. And this accumulating column, we have to create it as per the business scenario. So it's telling the manager has asked to see daily sales for April as well as month to date a total for each day for her department. So this is what is required. All right. So to begin with, I'll show you this example of your activity. So it's telling in this activity, if you observe this code carefully, yes, you are creating this table, you are having this data set, and you are creating a new column called month to date, which is equal to month to date plus sale. So when I go back and I open this activity, so we have this within our PG2 table or PG2 data. So within this, we have this code of lesson 3 activity A01. So just pay attention to the code. Do not work on this activity at this point. So see, we are creating this new column. Now you are quite familiar what is the statement. It is called as assignment statement, where the variable which is written to the left side of your equal to sign is the new variable which you are creating, and SAS will create this new variable. And we want it as your new variable value plus your earlier values of this column, which is sale amount, which is then existing column from this April sale. So when you execute the code and you see the output, you should get the month to date as a new column values, correct? Which is an accumulating total. But when you see your data, you find you have a missing data values. Now, when you check your log will tell you that your data was being executed as per your syntax. A data set is created, but at the same time, there is a note coming telling missing values were generated as a result of performing an operation on missing values. So why this note is coming? It's because in your data, you have a missing value of month to date at initial point. So missing plus any value is giving resulting to missing. That is what your log is telling. Missing values were generated as a result of performing an operation on missing value. So any idea why we are getting this missing values initially? Any idea?
The
So
way
we
PDB is
keep the first row as 0.
Okay, fine. Yes, Swarupa.
because the way the PDB is created, it's because of that.
Absolutely correct. So why this is coming? It's because when we execute it, so we see that there is no values been calculated. So because it's a numeric, it's showing you missing with period. So what happens, as you know, during compilation, when your data step is executed during compilation phase, your PDV is created. So the columns which are there from input data set is added. So when it comes to this assignment statement, we know that this is a new column. So SAS will add this to the PDV, right? And at the time of execution phase, your variable which is to be there into your PDV at initial stage, it gets initialized to missing. So because it's a new variable which has been created, your PDV will be kept vacant to take in the value. But because this column is coming from or is been created newly, so this will be initialized to missing. Because it's a numeric assignment, it will take it as a numeric type of column and it will give it as missing or a period. So missing value plus any value will result to missing. As you know, SAS never works on missing values, correct? So by default, variables created with an assignment statement are initialized to missing at top of each iterations of your data step. So month to date is an example of accumulating variable that needs to keep its value from one observation to next. So this is what it's telling. So you have to provide a value for it. So as Nilima very correctly said, but in SAS, remember in Nilima, it will not take it as 0. Okay, in SAS, missing means it's missing, it's not 0 because 0 has statistical value. Whereas 0 is the value which we use in Excel and all other softwares, where it is having some mathematical value, but when we are using in SAS, it has its some statistical value which affects the accuracy of report. So hence it takes missing. So in case if you want this column also, the previous value should be retained in your upcoming iteration cycles. We use a retain statement for your month to date and we initialize it by giving an initial value as 0. So what happens here is, now look at here, I'll explain that slide later on. So during compilation, when you have added this statement before this column is created, so see to it you write this retain statement immediately after set. Okay, so see April sales, you are selecting this columns by default. It's coming because this table has two columns. So when this assignment statement is there, it will create this column month to date during compilation. And because of retain, it will flag R for this or flag retain for this column. All right. So this is what during compilation it will do. So why it will flag retain? Because this is the accumulating column where the current iteration value has to be retained for your next iteration cycle so that you get the sum of previous value and the current value. Hence, it should be retained. Otherwise, at every iteration cycle, your PDV will get reinitialized to missing for the new variable. Hence, you use R. And if you give an initial value, this value will be taken as its initial value to be taken as 0. So during execution phase, your PDV gets initialized to missing at first iteration cycle. Okay, so now because this column you have provided that in your retain it should have initial value to be marked as 0, it will take it as 0. Now look at here how it works. So during execution phase, when your data step is to be read, your first statement is data statement. You are creating a new data set. Your PDV is initialized to missing. So when it enters your next statement of your data step, which is set, it reads the first row of observation from your input data set into PDV. Okay. Now, retain statement is your compile time statement. So this was read and executed, or it was performed its activity during compilation. So it will not perform any action on this statement. Of course, it will go in an ascending order to read all the statements, but it won't skip it because it's not an if then else statement. It will read this, but it no action because this action is already done during compilation. Then it comes to your assignment statement. So in your assignment statement, you have the expression telling month to date plus sale. So what is the current value of month to date is 0. And what is the current value of sale in PDV? It is 498.49. So this value is already in PDV. So this plus 0 gives you your initial first date value. Now with run, run plays two role here. One role is implicit output and the second is implicit return. So whatever is the current content of your PDV, it will be immediately written to your new data set, which creates the data portion of your new data set. And your run indicates that SAS should go back to your data step to read again the next value into your PDV, and your data step has to be processed for that new data row. Hence, with run implicit output, implicit return, observation to your new data set 1 to total will be written. So now when it comes to the next iteration cycle, okay, now when it comes to the next iteration cycle, when it goes back to this data statement, your PDV is initialized to missing. Now, in this scenario, sale date, sale amount is coming from existing data set. So those are not reinitialized to missing. Now, month to date, ideally, which is a new variable, should get reinitialized to missing. But because you have used this retain, during compilation, your column was flagged with R in PDV. Hence, the value is retained. It will not get reinitialized to missing for this new variable. Hence, it's available for us for your next iteration cycle for your new column value. So when it hits set statement, see the second row is taken from your input data in PDV to process. Now your month to date statement will be executed. So month to date plus sale amount. So current value of month to date is your previous value plus the current value of your sale. Because of R, the value was retained earlier for your earlier iteration. So this earlier value plus the current value of sale, you get the total for 2 days. Okay, so this total is calculated for 2 days, the previous day and the current day. Again with run, implicit output, implicit return. So this observation will be written to your new data set month to date or month to total. Hence, in this scenario, it will keep on processing until it is end of the file. All right, so this is how you create your accumulating total. All right, so this is all about you get introduced to your retain statement, and that is what this slide is telling about retain. Okay, so retain is the syntax where you use it to retain the values of variable across your all iterations of data step. So the syntax is retain is a statement which ends with a semicolon, starts with a keyword, give your variable name, and in case if you require any initial values to be provided, hence it's giving you into optional brackets or parentheses. It's telling provide initial value. So it's telling if you do not supply any initial value, all values of the column will be missing. Hence, as per our business scenario, we provide initial value as 0. And what retain test statement does, it retains the value of the variable in PDV across iterations of your data step, initializes the retained variable to missing or specified initial value before the first iteration of your data step. And of course, as I said you, retain statement is a compile time statement. That means this statement's effect or action is during your compilation phase of your data step. You will get questions sometimes what is a retain statement, or they may ask you what actually happens with retain. So you can always tell that these are the top points which is retain statement actually performs its action when you write it into data step. So retain statement has no effect on variables which are already been coming from an existing data set, and you're reading through set, merge or update statement. Or set statement, you know now what is merge and update, we'll see later on. Variables read from SAS datasets are retained automatically. So as we said very truly that these columns are read coming from an existing table which we are reading from set statement, hence they are automatically retained. So no need of special instructions to retain this, but the one which you want it across the iterations, the values should be retained. You write a retain statement in your data set. In case if you require initial value, you provide it, else just use retain. That is all it is here. Okay, so moving ahead, let's modify this statement where I introduce a retain statement. Retain, I am creating a new variable month to date, and I provide an initial value. So now with this input of a new statement, I execute my data step along with my proc print, and I see the result. So I'm still getting missing value. Is there anything which is missing here?
Date spelling.
Yes. Okay. So this is what you see the output. Correct? So you get first day value. So next value is your first day sale plus second day sale. You get this total. Then you get the previous 2 days total along with the current total. Now previous 2 days total is already there. So this value plus current value. So you get the total for your third day. So at the end of your month, you get the total sale throughout the month. All right. So this is your running total or accumulating total. Fine. Now coming back to your slides, this is what we had seen. Okay, now I'll show you. We have this another example. So we have this code. Now this code is your activity where you're trying to execute the same thing where you're including month to date, okay, with missing. But the input data here is Orion.April sales 2. And here we have April sales, okay. So it's a April sales, and here we have April sales too. So working with this April sales too, first let us understand this table. So when you look into this table in April sales too, what we have? Of course, it's a sale for the month of April, but there is a day when there was a no sale. Okay, so therefore the data is not captured, hence it is missing. So either it was a public holiday or the store was closed for some reason or whatever, but there is no sale for this day, particular day. Okay, maybe it's the second day of the month. So in case if you have the same code where you are calculating this, of course you are using retain. Let's use the same technique of your program and see whether we are getting the accumulating total for your previous day. So your first day we are already getting the value, but when it is coming to missing, so missing plus any value, it's resulting to missing. So again, missing plus this value, it will result to missing. So the instructions in your code were month to date plus sale. So first day was all good because it's an initialized to 0. So 0 plus sale, you got the value. So the value was your same value, which is your first day sale. But when it comes to the second value, it's telling you have month to date value as 498.49 plus missing, it's resulting to missing. Getting it? So again for the third iteration, this missing value plus your sale, it's resulting to missing. So We know SAS never works with missing value. Therefore, missing plus any value, you are getting the result as missing. So how you will overcome this now? Yes. Any idea? How will ask SAS to ignore missing value? Because ideally, if we do the same thing and if we try to work on the same data initially with with other technology or even as per your common understanding, so this value, though there is no sale, but when it comes to the third day, it should take it as this day plus your previous day, this, and it should give you the total, right? Agreed? Are you all with me?
Yeah.
So I hope you're understanding. It should ideally give that third day value. Plus, though if there is no value here, it's all fine. But we have the value for your previous day. So this plus this, it should give you the total for the third day. That is third day plus second day is zero. All right, missing. But first day at least we have, right? So first plus third value, it should give you a total. Okay. So how you will ask SAS to ignore missing value? So in this case, we can come across a function called as a sum function, which ignores the missing value. And as per the syntax, you have this function where your both arguments are separated by comma and you use this function. So now when I use this sum function, it will do the sum and ignore the missing value and you'll get the results where it's calculating the total. See, so when I see this data set, so you'll find that though there is no sale for the second day, it's taking the same value for your second day. And for the third day, it will be your third day value plus your previous day value. It will result this value. Whereas the fourth day, it will be your current fourth day value plus your previous day's sum to get this total. So this is how with the function of SAS of sum, it ignores missing value and performs sum on this column. Of course, retain will do its own work, which is most required, but this is how it works with your sum function. All right, understood, everyone?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, why the volume is so low from everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, good energy now. All right. So this is all about your sum. So I would request you to open the activity A01, A02 and work out with what we have done with A01 and A02. And then I'll show you another technique of using this sum. Okay. First work on activity A01, then come to A02. Okay, so moving ahead, along with this data step, we have something which is a modified data step where instead of doing the same task with two statements, we do it with one statement. Please hold on for 1 minute. I'll just check my internet connection. All right. So the task where the two statements were used to achieve our aim, we are fulfilling with a single statement. And this statement is called as a sum statement, where we write a sum sign or a plus sign between the two columns. So the column which you are writing to the left side, it understands the SAS that this is the new column which we are creating. All right. And with the sums or plus sign, this will be adding values for your new column. So when we are writing this sum statement, it performs all the tasks of these two statements, where with the sum statement, it will retain or it will perform this retain state function, or it will retain your new column and it will also initialize the value with 0. So no need of again using the same thing here. And of course, it will perform sum and it will also ignore missing values from your data. So it's a modified statement where you write, this is called as a sum statement. So we'll do the same thing and I'll show this once you execute this step. The result which you get earlier with retain and implementing a sum function, you get the same result with a sum statement with your data. So as per your business requirement, in case if you want a default initial values for your new column as missing, so it will take it by default as 0. So in case other than 0, if you want to provide, then you can give that value by using retain. Okay, but this single statement performs the task of both the statements which you have used earlier. And that is what our next topic is. Okay, so that's what it was telling with this poll, that what happens if there are missing values with sale amount in between your data. So we saw with April sales too, there was no sale on the second day, hence it was missing. So when you use your earlier code, it was giving us missing. So what it was telling, if you have a missing value, so what effect did the missing value of your sale amount have on month to date? Yes, earlier without a sum function, what it was resulting for us?
All the subsequent values are also missing.
Correct. Absolutely. The missing values for all your subsequent month to date were said to be missing. Correct. So this was our result earlier. Correct. So to avoid this, we use a sum function. So retain statement along with the sum function in an assignment statement can be used to create month to date. So sum function ignores missing value. So this is what a modified statement is, sum statement. So when you write a sum statement, see, you do not use your retain statement with initial value. So this sum statement, what it does, it will initialize the value to 0, automatically retain your variable, increased by the value of sale amount for each observation, and it will ignore the missing value. So 4 points in one statement. Hence, it's a modified statement with which we call it as sum statement, and you get the result. So try this sum statement in your current example where you used sum function. Done?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So this was all about your sum statement. So let's have an exercise to be done on this. So is your PDF book handy, open from your end? So let's work with an exercise. So it's lesson 3, accumulating variable exercise, which is on page 3-15. So let's work with your activity level 2 or demo exercise level 2. Creating accumulating totals with conditional logic. So the data set orient.order fact contains a group of orders across several years sorted by order underscore date. Okay, so this is the partial input table. If you'll see, you have order ID, type of order. Now this type order column is like you have the values as 1, 2, and 3. So here it's specifying 1, it means the order was placed via retail. 2 indicates the order was placed via catalog. and 3 will indicates the order was placed via internet. Okay. Then you have the date when the order was placed and the quantity. So what they are telling is Orient Star would like to analyze for 2009 data that creating accumulating totals for the number of items sold from retail catalog and internet channels. That means 1 is for retail, 2 is for catalog, 3 is for internet. Now 3 you cannot see here because it's a partial output of the table. Okay. So it's for all the type of order placed. But what they're telling, you have to create the report only for the year 2009. So if you see this order place data, you have the data coming from the year 2007. But you'll have to do it only for the year 2009, creating and accumulating totals for the number of items sold from all these channels. So depending on your quantity, you'll have to also have a new column, number of items. Okay. So the value of order underscore type indicates whether the sale was retail. So this we've already discussed. Okay. So create a data set name called order or type total, which has accumulating total called as total retail, total catalog, total internet. So you have to work according on the condition. Then when it was total for order type as 1, then your total retail price should be for retail, which is going to be accumulating total only for order type 1, then accumulating total for order type which was catalog, and accumulating total for internet. So the variable quantity contains the number of items sold for each order. So for testing your program in this step, read only first 10 observations that satisfy the where statement. Remember to process only those rows where order date is occurring in the year 2009. Continue testing your program and print the result. So the expecting output is like this. So this is your columns coming from input data, and this is the new column which we are creating. So it's your total retail, total catalog, total internet, and this is the quantity column from your table. All right. So this is what is expected. So when you move back here, the table which they are asking you to work on an input data is order fact. So if you observe this order fact table carefully, let's understand your input table. Order underscore fact. This is the table. You have customer ID, employee ID, street ID. Employee ID means the employee who might have attended the customer if it was a retail or catalog type of sale. All right. And order ID, order type, see 1, 2, 3. Okay. So there is a value of 3 also, which is internet sale. Then you have quantity placed by that particular customer, total retail price, and cost plus unit or cost price unit. And you have discounts in case they have. So I hope you've understood that depending on your order type, you have to calculate the total retail price for your customers who have placed the order. So that's what they're telling, that depending on this total retail, total catalog, total internet on your order type. All right, so this is to be done. So let's move ahead and type the program. So it's telling here, create data set which is having accumulating totals for retail, catalog, internet. The variable quantity contains the number of items sold for each order. It requires to create accumulating totals for number of items sold from retail catalog. So number of items sold means it's the quantity of items. So your quantity column is one of it, which you'll have to use it. All right, move ahead. So let's write the program. We are telling us to create a new data set. Type totals. So go ahead, type yourself.
Ashwini?
Yes.
Oh, I couldn't see anything, so I wanted to know what we were doing in program one. So we were creating accumulating totals, right?
So it's
Oh, now
set.
I
I
can
hope you
see.
can see.
Yeah, now I
Here
can
I
see.
got it's which the input table we are going to use is order underscore fact. Correct. First and foremost, we need to subset your data. Here we will be extracting the year of your order. What is the column? Annual order date. Is it order date or delivery date? Order date. Right? Then you can write if type column is equal to 1, then it should create total quantity. Is it your
ये ना सब्जी कोई ग्रेवी नहीं है आज चिकन में ग्रेवी नहीं है
Okay, so people, there's a note that in your input table you don't have data for the year 2009. It's the date only till the year 2007. So accordingly, you can subset your data for the year suppose 2006 instead of 2009. All right, make a note. So this should be your data step.
I think obvious 10 also we have to keep, no?
Yeah, so it's only for you to test first 10 rows. If the things are working good, then you can continue ahead without using obvious equal to 10.
Oh,
That's what they were telling, that to just check how it's working, you can work with first 10 observations, but later on you can continue. So remember to process only those rows which are for the year 2009, but in your data, we don't have values for 2009. So let's subset your data for the year 2006. So therefore, it's telling continue testing your program by printing the results from part A. Print all variables and verify the program is correctly calculating with accumulating totals. Then part C is telling when results from part A and B are correct, do the following. Modify your program to read all the observations resulting. Now this is coming with the year 2009 for 90 observations, but for us it may vary. And you have to keep only this column. Yes, Priyanka, you can share your screen.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Your errors.
Must be something I'm writing. So
No, first show me your log. Scroll up, let me check the error. It's telling variable, see the spelling for order date.
did it so many time and wait. Okay.
Now execute.
First I had, okay. I had written first year on that. That's why it was.
No, that's why I always try to read your log.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's try one with level 1. So it's telling you have a dataset order fact which contains information about orders for several years sorted by order date. Okay, each observation represents one order and total retail price contains the sale value for that order. Fine. It's a description of your table. All right. So Orion Star would like to examine growth in sales during the range of year 1st November 2008 to 14 December 2008. So see to it to modify it for 2006 or 7. Okay, so you have this exercise. It's telling here create and print the dataset name from Orion.order fact. The data step uses the following where, all right, modify your program. So I'll type the same. So let's have a data set to be created. So what's the data set? Mid quarter 4. All right. So this has to be done from order underscore fact. Let's have your criteria where we are going to subset your data between 0 1 November 2006. Now you know what we are doing here, correct? So it's a calendar date, right? Which is actually in SAS, it's a number of days. So this calendar dates with this D constant will convert your calendar date to numeric date. So we are going to subset your data between this date to your date which is specified in your program, which
Ashwin,
is the date.
one
Yeah,
moment. After we open that exercise, they have already given that program
I know
where
they have already given, but I'm typing it for you.
it's 2004 they have given.
So in the example, it's 2008. Okay, if it is 4, it's all right, 4. So I'll modify to 4, no problem. Is less than equal to your order date is going to be less than and equal to between the date 14 December 2004. This is your subsetting. Then they are telling the data step uses where, all fine. Modify a program to create an accumulating total sales to date to display the sale to date total. So let's create a column called sales to date. Let's use accumulating total on your total retail price. Okay, so I'll also create accumulating variable number of orders plus 1. So this is what the new column will be. So this number of orders is indicating how many orders to that date is total. Okay, so when this month to date is all total is to be calculated for sales to date, so it will be number of order plus 1 depending on the values of your sale to date on every order. So that's what it's telling. It indicates how many orders to date that total represents. Okay, so first let me check this output. So let's execute. So this is on every sale to date. The or depending on this date, your count is increasing. That's what this number of order is telling. So what is this? It indicates how many orders to date that total represents. So that's what it's telling here. All right. So it will be created as writing an accumulating total where you simply write number of orders plus 1. Okay. So it is the observation counts for one order. So each observation counts one order. So that's why we are getting the output as one order, second order, third order, fourth order, and so on for every row. So it's basically it represents like count of every row. Got it?
Okay.
Done? So this should be your code, the one which I've highlighted. Done, everyone?
I did not subset it.
Yeah, show me your code.
So the code is same, which we did with the order date,
Mm-hmm.
exactly same.
Correct. Okay, one
Actually,
sec.
it's
One
not
sec. One
correct.
sec. Give me the request of your screen.
I can see the mistake in that, but
One sec. So you have subsetted your data for the year 2006. If your order type is 1, you have given total retail, fine, 2. See
it is
what's
the
your
mistake.
column here? See what
Yeah.
have you written your order and here order. Same
Mm-hmm.
goes here also.
Yeah, I can see now. Started working on the
Now
other.
execute your data step.
I was looking at the data and then check here. Let's see now. Yeah, now I have at least something in the catalog, right?
Got it?
Yep.
Alright. Okay, good. Okay, so others, Shanmuga, Swarupa, Nilima, have you done with level 1 and 2? Any doubts, any questions in this?
Yes, Ashwini, done.
Great.
Yes.
Shanmuga,
Done, Ashwini.
good. Swarupa,
Yes.
good. So this was all about your accumulating total, which we had seen, which was summarized. So the next topic is accumulating total for a group of data. So here we'll be creating an accumulating total within a group of certain values. Okay, so here you'll get summarized your reports, but I'll not take this topic now here because of the time constraints. It will be a bit heavy also for you. So for today, we'll just stop with this, but remember this is the topic where we'll be calculating and accumulating total within groups. Okay, so for that, if we are going to create an accumulating total within a group of values, so when you say it's a group, that means your data should be pre-sorted or it should be in that order of that groups. Okay, so hence this topic we'll see on in your next class when we'll be saying it in detail about how one can create an accumulating total within the group of observations. All right.